All right, Pickleheads. Today on the podcast, we have Brendon all day long. Had an exciting weekend at Red Rock, and we're excited to have him here on the podcast with us. Brendon, we really appreciate your time. Thank you for being here with us.
Yeah, good to be here.
Hey, from the beginning, if we can you tell us where you're from and kind of from there how you got into pickleball? Was it tennis related? Kind of that story there.
I'm from Naples, Florida. Still live in Naples, so got the U.S. Open going like 20, 25 minutes away from me right now. So that should be starting up here in a few days. Um, I played tennis in high school. I didn't particularly like it, to be honest. That's why I didn't go play in college. Um, well, I particularly didn't like it actually. But I started playing pickleball about like 16 years ago when my mom knew about the sport and she bought a set, like a whole net, paddles, and balls. And there's enough area in my parents' driveway to set up a court and everything. So we chalked off some lines and just played with all my friends in high school. And my favorite part that I always like to tell is that we used to play 2 points if you hit the person on the other team. So
All right.
we came out firing, right? So every time we go hands battles or people hit it hard or even delaminated paddles, I swear no one has hit it as hard at me as the first time I started playing with my friends in high school. What
All
I
Yeah, and
right,
you
like
so
have a
13, like
six.
a 13-ounce paddle, I that for some reason that had more power than anything I've ever seen.
yeah, and you
Oh
have a
yeah, for
hammer.
sure. Yeah, no control whatsoever with a wood paddle. So
We didn't
Austin
need it
played
then.
high school tennis also, and yeah, no college tennis there. I played a little bit of tennis, not in high school or anything, but pickleball is where it's at for sure.
It's just
So
so much
Naples,
more fun.
Florida,
Just so much more
I've been
fun.
there.
It's
Yeah,
crazy.
definitely. I've been there to Naples, just once actually when my sister lived there. Love the area. I could live there for sure. So I
Yeah,
understand why
it's
you
super
stuck
nice.
around. And
Well,
then
I haven't been here much lately.
six. Oh,
Just traveling a
yeah.
lot.
And how is that? What do you like and dislike about traveling around the U.S.?
Uh, I like to eat, so like I am a huge fan of just eating different restaurants in different places. Just trying new food and trying whatever is good or local restaurants in the area.
What do you think of St. George's food?
Honestly, not my favorite. I told some of the people there. Uh, Most of the restaurants went to, not a big fan. There were two we went to. A Thai place that was like 3 minutes from the courts. I can't exactly remember what it's called, but there's a Thai place like 3 minutes from the courts that was actually very
Royal
good.
Thai.
And then Royal Thai, yeah, that's it. Royal Thai was really good. And then Viva Chicken, which is like a Peruvian chicken place, was pretty solid. But pretty much most of the places we went to for dinner, I didn't really like.
Yeah, there's
Very,
there's
very
really
underwhelming. Even with recommendations from the people there, I was very underwhelmed.
yeah.
Same with
No,
the
there's
breakfast
nowhere to
places.
eat. There's nowhere to eat here. Only good place is Royal Thai, and you went to Royal Thai Express, and they're decent, but there's Royal Thai
Okay,
Cuisine, which is at a different location. So good. It's the only good place. Like Viva Chicken's good, and a couple other places, but that's the only place that I've really enjoyed their food. What did you get,
yeah.
if you remember what
From
food
where? From Viva
from
Chicken.
from Royal Thai?
Royal Thai, I got the pad thai because Pablo was eating it, and I was really, really hungry. So I didn't even look at the menu. I just ordered that, and that was solid. And then I went back there the next day. So after the finals, I went back again to grab lunch before I
Cut it
came
out.
back a little bit to watch the rest of the finals. And I forgot
Oh,
what I
okay.
got then, but it was better than the pad thai.
Yeah, I don't like their pad thai actually. That's the only thing on their menu I don't like. But
Yeah, it
anyways,
was fine. Though I got after that was much better.
yeah, our food here sucks, but other than that, it's a beautiful place. When did you start playing professional pickleball?
I think it just depends like when you count that. So like I played in the
Right.
first US Open and I played some tournaments around then, but mostly local, and I just was really playing tournaments with my friend. But I didn't really practice that much. Got hurt again. Didn't didn't do too much. Then maybe like, a year and a half, a little bit 2 years ago, like I think like a year and a half ago was the first time I like traveled for a tournament, like traveled out of Florida. maybe like so like 2 Cincinnati tournaments ago. So I guess almost 2 years now, a year and 9 months or something like that was the first time I actually traveled for a tournament.
And for most of us, it feels like you came out of nowhere. I hadn't heard of you until MLP, the last MLP when you played on the Hustlers. I'm sure Spencer's really into everything, so I'm sure he's heard of you many years ago. But
Oh yeah.
but yeah, I hadn't
Yeah,
heard of you.
I
So
progressively did more tournaments.
right, and you played only APPs, is that right? When you started?
Uh, no, I just did mostly APPs because
Okay,
in being in Florida and on the East Coast, there's just more APPs on the East Coast, and a lot of the PPAs were further west, so it was just a lot more
right.
travel to go to the PPAs than it was for the APPs. So even though I did mostly APPs, it wasn't exclusively. Like there was a PPA Orlando like almost 2 years ago, and then the PPA Orlando in this November, December. Um, I'm sure there were some other ones. There may have been one in Tampa, like in 2021 or something.
Okay. Interesting. So I know that you were playing left side the entire time, and we're going to talk about it later in the interview. But I know you were playing left
Mhm.
side the entire time with Tyson until the final match. Do you prefer left side, would you say? Are you stuck over there? You like it way more than the right, or
Uh,
indifferent?
I think I like the left side better. I think I'm better on the left, like a little bit better on the left. I think just my skill set is good for the left. Um, but I practice right a lot, and I feel like I'm very good on the right, and obviously very underrated on the right because pretty much nobody has seen me play on the right besides the people I
Right.
train with here. So I think like again, I've got a good backhand counter. I've got a good forehand dink. I can speed up off the bounce forehand. So I think I can actually play right really well, and I have a very aggressive forehand dink. So I can play right fine. I just prefer to play left, and I mostly practice left. So
Well, you
I think
proved
I'm just a
it.
little bit better there.
You proved it in the final, and like I said, we're going to talk about it. But yeah, you can definitely play both sides. But it felt like you were more comfortable on the left with your hammer backhand going in. I don't know how you hit it
Yeah,
so
I feel
hard, but
like I
it's
have one of the hardest backhands.
no, you do,
Yeah.
you do. And
I
I
I
played with.
remember
What were you saying?
I remember like maybe like plantation a year ago. I was playing Zane like when he first in doubles when he first started doing the yeah, for he first started like practicing this, like before he got as good at it
The
as he is
tomahawk.
now. And I said, Zane, why don't you just hit a backhand harder? Why not just hit a backhand hard? And he goes, not everyone can hit a backhand as hard as you can, Brendon. And I was like, I don't know. Have you tried? I don't know. Just hit a backhand hard. Why do this? You just hit a backhand hard. That seems easier to me.
From what I heard
Yeah.
from DJ Young, he brought up a good point because he tomahawks a lot. Is he said right here on his arm is stronger than the back side of his arm. So like the front side of his arm is stronger, so it makes more sense. He can get more power tomahawking. But probably
I'm
I would.
using more than just my arm. I'm using the whole body. I guess if you're
Yeah.
swinging with only your arm,
Right. I'm guessing with you, you have stronger here though, but I don't know. But it is a hammer because I played.
maybe.
I played with Tyson on, I think it was Monday before the tournament. And I was like, so you're playing with Brendon. How did that come about? We talked about it for a while, but he was like, oh, yeah, it'll be really good. He has a hammer. Like, this man just has hammer hands. And I was like, okay, yeah, I hadn't seen you play much other than for the Hustlers. But seeing you in person, I was like, yes, this man definitely has a hammer. Ch- uh, Changing subjects just a little bit, do you play any singles? We're curious about that. Do you play any singles or
Yeah,
tournaments?
I play singles. I practice with like Pablo and Federico here a little
Cool.
bit. Um, so whenever we're drilling and they want to do singles practice, we end up doing singles practice here. I don't. I did a few singles tournaments leading up to MLP just because people didn't believe I could play singles, so I had to just play two or three leading up to MLP just to get a duper rating and get a couple wins, so that would be on there. But I do like it. It's fun. I just realistically speaking, gonna I'm not gonna beat a five really good guys in a row. I know that like I can win matches, I could upset people for sure, but I'm not gonna beat Julian, Fed, Pablo, Ben, five people in. I'm not gonna hit five upsets in a row. And to me, it just doesn't really make sense to just get a couple wins and then what?
Right.
And then
Right.
now my body is more tired for the days that I feel like I have a legitimate chance of winning every single time I play.
Yeah, that's been a hot topic lately too in singles. I'm sure you've seen that. I mean, it takes a toll on the body, and then you got to go play mixed and doubles afterwards. So I don't know. I guess it makes sense for some and maybe not for others. But hey, I just thought of a new nickname. Maybe people have already called you this. But instead of Brendon all day long, how about Thor with that hammer, man?
I don't know. I feel there's some more jacked people out there that maybe are already using that one.
Yeah, I'm thinking of like maybe Pat Smith or, but at the same time, he doesn't have the results you have. So you're Thor for now. I'll tell Pat. Hey, talking APPs for a quick and specifically Florida or another APP Daytona. I watched you and Bobby Oshiro. You played against Hunter and Paris and
Mhm.
got gold in that one. Um, Prior to that, obviously, I'd seen you play. As far as results go, I hadn't seen as much, but that was an incredible display. You showed how well you can cover the court there. I think that's where you showed everyone who you were. And then in a minute here, we'll talk about Red Rock, where really you shined. But what was your strategy in that mixed final going in and playing them? Did you have a set strategy? Were you going to target somebody? What was your guys' plan going in?
Um, you know, not really a particular strategy that I don't use in every other mixed doubles match. I thought it was like a kind of standard matchup where I think Paris is a really good aggressive dinker with really and also has good speed ups and good hands, but so is Bobby. So I thought it was just kind of a pretty standard matchup where there'd be a lot of cross court dinking between the two of them, and then Hunter and I just trying to get involved and see what happens. I don't think
Gotcha.
it was. I think. I mean, Hunter Hunter hits his backhand harder than me off the bounce for sure. His drives are harder, so our game plan was mostly try not to get blown up on their thirds since they can both drive it so hard. It's like if we just don't get annihilated by their thirds, I was pretty confident.
Um, yeah, he does drive it very hard. Some of
And
those end up in
so
the
does
net.
she. So does she.
Yeah, she does as well. I mean, coming from a tennis background, well, both of them.
Mm.
Um, was your plan on your fourth to just try to keep it down, to keep them deep, or just try to keep it not playable
Uh,
or not as put awayable, I should say?
yeah, just try not to lose on the fourth.
Yeah.
Try not to lose on their third. Get the fourth in the court, and then Bobby was playing so well. I think in every match we played, Bobby was just the best player on the court, right? Since Bobby was the best player on the court, that we just don't lose on the fourths, get up to net, and just playing out like a good solid point at the net, which is a very good value proposition for us.
Yeah. And then you guys, so the way the APP or specifically this tournament worked, you guys had the advantage. They were playing themselves in, so you had the match to 15 in your back pocket. You ended up losing the first game and the second game, and it brought it to a game to 15. Did that strategy change at all then, or did you feel like you were warmed up by then and you were dialed in? Hey, let's just continue.
Honestly, that was a very difficult game for me mentally because we started out and in the first game, I think it was Hunter. Yeah, Hunter hit a drive down Bobby's line that was like this far out. Okay. Ref calls it in. Okay. Like it was
Mm.
close at this point.
Yeah.
Ref calls it in. I was like, what is going on here? Okay. That was not even close. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's because they had all the line judges here. So ref calls it in. We're just screwed. We just lose a point. Ref calls it in. It's not even close. Anyways, we play out. And whatever. I finally get over it. We start dealing with it. We get to the next game. It happens again, but even further out. I think it was 6 inches out. I mean, it's like literally this far out, and the referee calls it out, or the referee calls it in again. And I was like, I just got over this mentally that I got hooked by a referee, and then I'm getting hooked by a referee again. I was like, how am I supposed to focus now? It was kind of a whole controversy where they said that the referee made a mistake, so we had to replay it. I think that was an improper rule interpretation because they're saying that what they were saying is if the referee what they told us in the beginning is if the referee calls an in ball out, you have to replay it, right? Because if the referee made an error during a live ball,
Right.
okay, which 100% makes sense. Like even if it's, I guess, it's going to be a winner, like, it kind of sucks. But the referee interrupted a live point. But in this situation, it wasn't. What happened was because the ball was out and the referee called it in, so the referee never interrupted a live point, right? So the referee made an error after a dead ball, and everyone agreed that it was a dead ball. So the referee error only happened after the point. So there's no issue. Like that should be a point for us. And that's what I was arguing to the referees. And they had a little bit of a meeting and said I was wrong. But after the head referee, so after Byron, I went up to Byron and said, I think it's an improper interpretation by the referees. And he agreed with me. But I don't know. It's one point. You're supposed to be mentally stronger than that to let that get to you. But after it happened again, that happened the second time, and I was very frustrated. So we ended up losing there, and then I feel like I recovered mentally, and we went back to the game plan and played a really strong game to 15.
Yeah, that was a killer game to 15. We have a quiz later on. I'm going to ask you what the final score is. So I'll be thinking about that.
I have no idea.
Maybe you'll guess correctly.
I'm going to guess, but I really don't know.
But no, that makes sense. I mean, technically, so what you're saying is technically the ref didn't make a call. So it's not like you're doing anything contradictory.
The ball was out,
yeah,
right? The ball landed out. Then the referee called it in. Once everyone agreed that the ball was actually out, then the in call that the referee made was actually after a dead ball, right?
Gotcha.
So anything that happens after a dead ball it doesn't matter, right?
Right.
Versus in the other situation when the ball is in, the referee makes a line call during a live ball, which you have to replay. And that's how I think about it.
Do you like having line judges? Do you like that situation at all? I just feel like there's not a good, like there's pluses and minuses to both. What do you think?
I like the intention of it and I like the idea of it. I actually think the best current system right now is actually the system that the MLP is using, where I think it could use some tweaks where you just get a couple challenges. You just make your own line calls, the referees are not involved, and then you just get to challenge. And that way, you're pretty much always getting it right. I think the one issue, and it's an issue that I talked with a lot of people with that, is that I kind of think that you're incentivizing a lot of people to make bad line calls. I think because right now, for 99% of people, everyone is 100% genuinely doing their best to make the best line calls they can.
Right.
Okay. But then now you're in the situation where you're saying, I may as well just call it out and then let them challenge it. Okay. Which is what, you hear people saying, what people are starting to do when you have the challenges and you just have a lot of challenges, especially when you can't challenge your own line call. Right. So now I feel like people are just kind of being incentivized to erring on the side of benefiting themselves or erring on the side of calling it out, when generally they would be giving them benefit of the doubt, the player. So I do think the MLP is the best one, but I am concerned about, kind of the incentives that it makes it exactly that it gives to the players.
Yeah, there's that too. And I don't think there's a perfect solution right now, but I think it's the best solution, except, and we talked about this a few weeks ago with Travis Rettenmeyer, except when the referees review, you can say whether or not you agree with this. They should be able to decide, regardless of what the call was, whether the call was in or out, they should be able to decide, was the ball in or was the ball out? Not, well, we don't have definitive evidence that it was, it's just in or out.
I kind of agree with you until, I don't know, sometimes you just can't tell. I mean, depending on the FPS on the camera, or like, does it just miss a frame, right? You just on the wrong frame, it bounces, you just miss it. Okay. I kind of agreed with you until I saw one of my line calls in MLP against Dallas, I think it was. Live, I saw it out. When you watch the ball fast, it looks out. But when you slow-mo it, like literally, I think the commentators, it was Brandon Sekpong and Adam Stone, I think, they were like, even in slow-mo, we're 50-50. Okay. Yeah. Just because you're just missing a frame. Okay. The frame that it bounces, it's so close, you just don't know. Okay. And in that case, I feel like you kind of just have to err on what people saw live.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they need to improve the tech.
Keep going on, sorry.
Yeah, so MLP Daytona, so this was your first one, your first MLP, correct? So
Well,
take
the
us
first one
through,
that I played in, I was an alternate on the first one.
right, right. So
I was just hanging out.
take us through making it onto the Miami pickleball team. Like, what was that process like? What happened?
So I just applied to the supplemental draft, and after applying to the supplemental draft, I had, so I think I applied, and then APP Daytona happened. So after that, a lot of the team owners and players on the team owners started messaging me saying, "We're gonna pick you," or "We're gonna trade you." So I was just getting texts and calls from people every single day saying, "What team is the team that is the first draft that's asking for you, so that we can try and trade them to pick you?"
Wow, that's cool.
which which I think was I don't know, just a big change from the first time around where I just didn't get drafted at all, and it seemed like
Right.
uh, a lot of team owners just didn't even want to draft me. Not it wasn't even close. So that was just a funny turn, and so the first team didn't pick me in the first one, so they picked me up, and I think it's a good fit for me. Right, Jeff is a really energetic player. He's really strong on the right. Regina and I are a really good mixed team, and Alex and I have played in the past previously as well, if we need to do that. So I'm happy with the draft. Jamie, with the owners and the guy who's running it, is super nice. So is Stu. So just fitting in with them in general has worked really well. Yeah.
And
And then
what's it like playing with Jeff? I know that he has a really good speed up, and
yeah.
obviously he's the one that invented the tomahawk technically, right? But he has a really good speed up just off the bounce. It looks like he's dinking and then he'll speed it up. How do you guys play together? How was it getting used to that playing with Jeff?
We didn't get a lot of practice in beforehand
Okay.
at the way he plays, and just talking to him, I knew it was gonna fit well, because he wanted me to take like a lot of the high balls in the middle and the off the bounce balls in the middle that I like to, and I can do a lot with. So he wanted to do that. He has a very good off the bounce speed up, and then I can cover middle, and just we're both happy to take the hands battles there. So I think that works well. And I told him this, and I don't know if he does this on purpose or not, or this I'm just blowing up his strategy right now. Okay, I may be like giving away my teammate's secret strategy, but before every single match, he always says, "Don't dink it to me. I'm terrible at dinking. I'm the worst dinker on the court. If you can't dink to me,
Really?
if you can't beat me in dinking, you're an idiot." Okay, or whatever Jeff says. Okay, always talks about how he's the worst dinker ever. And then you go back and watch the matches, and he hits great dinks, and he's out dinking people every time. And I'm like, is
Wow.
this some secret genius strategy that's ever existed? And then he just beats people dinking.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's smart. It's like some reverse psychology going on with everybody's
Yeah.
minds. So I know he's on the court. He's usually super loud, and I can't remember how long ago, but he played against Matt Wright and Riley Newman with someone. I can't remember who, but they were just like yelling back and forth, talking trash. It was a lot of fun. Is it like that
I
playing with
remember
him?
that. I remember that.
You remember that match?
Oh,
Yeah.
Jeff kept hitting them or something. Jeff kept hitting a lot of body bags. That's what I seem to remember.
Yeah, he kept body
Um,
bagging him.
And Wes Burrows was just driving the ball the
West,
hardest I've
that's
ever
right.
seen in
That's
my
who it
whole
was.
life. That's what it was. It was he and Wes versus Riley and Matt. And they
Uh,
almost had him mainly because of Jeff's trash talk. I think it got to him
Yeah,
for sure.
it
yeah,
did. Then
Jeff's
they
trash
couldn't
talk gets to
execute.
people. It really does. I mean, just seeing it even in MLP this weekend, it gets to people. People get mad and people get upset, and people play worse. Um, so I mean, it doesn't affect me. It's fine. Uh, and I kind of have said this in the past that I kind of like when the other teams trash talk me, because sometimes I feel bad being the one like just trash talking off the bat, especially because I like so many of the people in pickleball that I don't want to trash talk you. I like almost everybody. Okay. But then they start trash talking first. I'm like, this is great. That's fine. I can do whatever I want now.
We were, we
We're on
were
an even playing field. We're good to go.
we were planning on talking about this later, but just a quick insert. We're just going to go to your final match really quick because I have to know. I'm just antsy about it. Were they trash talking you first? Because I was directly behind you. We were up on the north side watching,
In the
and
semis
I'm
match.
wondering. in versus Deckel and Colin. I'm just taking total turn here. I just have to know.
Mhm.
You said to Tyson, you were dominating Deckel, and then you said, I think it was he's scared or something like that. I don't know. I don't remember the.
You're talking about the first game. I think I had hit a speed up winner through the middle, and I had hit a good off the bounce speed up previously, and they hit a dink to me, and I showed forehand speed up. Deckel took like 2 to 3 steps off the line, and instead of speeding up, I just hit an inside out
Okay.
dink to Deckel's left foot, and he was still
Uh-huh.
on the way back. And he ended up missing the dink because he was anticipating speed up because I was purposely
Right.
showing speed up. And then I went to Tyson and said, You scared my speed up."
So you started the trash talk in that match. Then we could
I
say.
only said it to Tyson. I didn't say it to Deckel.
Okay.
I don't. I feel like no one was really trash talking that match. I mean, like, I feel like Tyson is obviously really loud. I try to get really loud. Deckel has his fist bump, right? But I didn't feel like anything was real. I didn't think anything was really trash talking. That
Yeah.
honestly, that was kind of more of a strategy thing. I
Yeah.
don't think it was more of a trash talk as much as it was a strategy thing where Deckel was, since I had hit some good off the bounce speed ups, he was scared of me hitting that off the bounce speed up. So he was backing up and giving me space. And instead of hitting the speed up that he was anticipating, I was just taking the open space that he was giving me.
Right. So you were letting Tyson know, hey, he's a little bit scared of this ball coming from my forehand to speed up. That's what he's anticipating. He's going to take a few steps back. So that was you letting
Right.
him know. Gotcha. Gotcha. Fun
Yeah,
match.
yeah, for sure. We'll talk about it here in a second. Tell
Yeah.
Austin to stop jumping ahead. So back to MLP real quick. Uh, so then you got the previous MLP Mesa, Miami Pickleball Club, I think got 11th.
Mhm.
This time around. Was it third?
Third, yeah.
Uh,
I
so
mean, we got
huge.
like 3-4, right? We made it to the semis and then lost. But I think with the points we had, like technically we were third, but it was like the third, fourth position in the playoffs.
Yeah. No, that's great. Big improvement, and I think more will come the next time. But that also gave you the opportunity to get called up to play with the Hustlers.
Mhm.
Tyson had I'm assuming it was his foot again. Was
Yeah,
that the injury
they
there?
don't tell me. They just tell me you're
Oh,
playing.
okay. So what was that experience like? I mean, you did really well. I mean, you deserve to be in the Premier League. If
Yeah.
there's two people, if I could pick only two men that are in the Challenger League that definitely deserve and can replace some of the men in the Premier League, it's you and Pablo. You guys deserve to be there. But what was that experience like playing with the Hustlers? It seemed like you meshed pretty well right from the beginning. But what do you
Yeah,
think?
so I've played a lot of tournaments with Rafa in the past. So I think that was easy, even though we didn't we didn't win, which was a little disappointing. Um, I played with him, meshed with him, so that was fine. And then Anna Bright is just super good. And so as far as like super good, really good mixed player, and I think her strategy's on point. So just coming in super easy there for me with Rafa and me with Anna. And then again, kind of what I always talk about, that they are super high intensity. Rafa's high intensity, Anna's really high intensity. Lacey is always there, like always pumping us up during those two matches, and the owner as well. So and that's what I prefer in the match. I prefer the crowd, prefer the intensity, like prefer everyone getting loud. So not just the play wise, but the energy wise, I feel like I fit in really well.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Hey, I'm going to give the time to Austin now. Now we'll talk about PPA Red Rock. We were both there in person, and it was just electric, man, and organic. I've been to a lot of pro matches, and sometimes you have to pump up the crowd. It feels like some of it is maybe like not quite organic. I hate to say fake, but
Forced.
everybody was into it, and I would say 90% of the people that were there were rooting on the underdog. Um, Austin, I'll give you that time to talk about that.
Yeah, it was electric. I looked at Spencer after the match and we were talking. We were just like, this was the greatest match of all time. There's not been a better match. And Spencer was like, is it
It
because we're
was.
here? Spencer was like, well, is it because we're here in person? I'm like, no. It was literally 13-11 in the final. Like, there's never been a better match. They were down, they came back. And especially because me and Spencer were rooting for you and Tyson. So that made it all the better, I'm sure, for us. But yeah, it was absolutely electrifying. And the crowd was just so into it. You got a ton of
The
the
crowd was
type,
amazing. The crowd was so good.
right? Yeah, they absolutely killed it. I mean, I haven't been to a ton of tournaments, but I've never heard a crowd like that. They were just that amped. But it was such a fun
Yeah, a
match.
part of like the MLP crowds, that was like the best non-MLP crowd I've seen for sure.
Right, right. I've never been to an MLP, but I bet it's insane. I know that the team aspect's so fun. So Tyson gets dropped by Ignatowicz and then calls you up. What was that phone call like? And do you know if him and Ignatowicz are done playing together for future tournaments, or was it just this one?
I think it was just this one and then North Carolina that they weren't playing together, and then they're going to be playing together again after that.
Okay. And so he called you up when
I pretty much talked about it at MLP.
at MLP. Okay. And you guys hadn't played together as partners because you were playing with Rafa, but he had seen you play and he's like, I think I could do a lot with I think we'd be a good mesh together type of thing.
Yeah, so that we had played against each other mixed doubles at PPA Daytona. How 2 weeks ago or however long before that was. We played against each other, and we had played against each other one other time in like the U.S. Open before. Rob
Oh,
Cassian against
okay.
him and Tyler Loom. But besides that, we'd never really played.
Yeah, you guys played really well together. Really built off of each other.
So we didn't get a chance to practice the day before because he was playing singles and he made it to the finals, right? So obviously he had a deep run. He was playing singles, and
Right.
everyone's tired after they make the finals, right? No one wants to play. We didn't get to hit any balls together or anything leading up to it, even the day before.
Wow, which makes it an even more incredible story. So I want to point out the fact too that you've beaten three of his in that same tournament. You beat three of his previous partners. Um, so Riley, who he was with for I think more than a year. They were probably together for a year and a half. Maybe it was only a year. And then Jay, who he was with for a full year. You guys beat he and DJ badly. And then obviously Ignatowicz. Uh, to be honest, I thought that was the match that you would lose with against Riley and Ignatowicz. And then you guys beat them in straight games. Granted, they were close games. Did Tyson say anything to you after? I'm curious, or mention the fact like, "Hey, thanks for beating all my previous partners," or did anything like that come up?
No, I think it doesn't really. I mean, yeah, that's kind of what people have been saying, like, oh, you pick up Brendon, then you beat all the people you played with before. But I mean, I think it just doesn't matter, right? And if you played with them or not, we still want to beat them. I don't think either of us really care.
Win is a win. So on your way up, you beat Patrick Quinn and Garnett. You beat Duvier and DJ, um, and then obviously James and Riley. I want to talk about the post-match semifinal interview, and we ended up posting this one together on Instagram. That was the biggest flex of an interview, like the biggest humble flex of an interview, I should say. I want to get a T-shirt that says it. So you in your interview said, "Here I am, and that's what we did." And then like the crowd was obviously electric after that statement. So I do want to get a T-shirt made. I'm going to put your face on it. It's going to say, "Here I am, and that's what we did." And
But we've
when
got
you
some
point
coming.
at the
I'm not even
camera,
kidding.
You
what's
do?
that?
Yeah, yeah.
They have
All
some
right,
coming.
I'm your first customer.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was funny. So that's kind of what I started doing.
No, yeah, it's great. Walk us through. So the final match against Deckel and Colin. So you and Tyson play a fast-paced shake and bake style game in the first game, and I think you end up winning 11-1. Just like roll over them. And at that point, I'm thinking, okay, Declan and Colin, they're some of the more, especially Colin, more strategic player in the game. He's going to figure out what happened that first game. I think we're going to see a different story the second game. Second game, it seemed like Deckel was starting to target you more on the left. You were getting beat a little bit there across court. Can you walk us through when and why you decided uh, to switch sides, you and Tyson?
Um, yeah, I think that there's just like a little bit of a misconception about kind of the way it went down. It was like the first game, I thought we'd like everyone said to me, first game, best game you ever played in your life, right? You destroyed them. I think we played really well. Tyson and I both hit really good drives. We had good poaches. Like we didn't really miss any balls. We played really well. We didn't really miss anything, but I think that they also didn't play their best. Second game, a little bit worse. I played a little bit worse. Deco wasn't really making mistakes in the cross court dings he was before. So I don't think like I played a little bit worse. I think they played a lot better as well. I think like especially at the comments like, oh, Brendon's collapsing. But like even as we were playing, like I think my drive, I hit a couple bad drives. I don't know, that happens, right? You win 11-1 the first game because you hit like five good. I hit like winner drives and setup, and then you miss on the next game. That's just life, right? Um, so I think it was fine. They played a little bit better. And so kind of same thing for the third game, but Deco, I feel like was just in a perfect rhythm going cross court. Like he just wasn't missing, and I was leaving them a little bit higher, and he was just hitting really good attacks out of the air on those. So I think we just decided to mix it up for one because he was kind of beating me there. Like he was playing very very well, even though I feel like I was playing fine. Yeah, I hit a backhand and it kind of hurt my shoulder a little bit, and it kind of felt weird to hit overheads very hard. So that's why I started hitting angle overheads at like half power instead
Yeah.
of just overheads as hard as I can, which I normally do. So that combined with the fact that I was getting beat a little bit cross court, just making mistakes, and I think Deco was also just playing really well. So we decided to switch it up, and I think what's interesting is Deco still went cross court, right? I think that's a lot of it is that Deco still was going cross court to Tyson a lot. Um, Colin was
Hmm.
obviously going to me more often. That's kind of just what you do on the right. Um, but Dickel still continued to go cross court, and we made a little bit of a comeback there in the third. We ran up a bunch of points. They got a couple backhand poaches, which since I don't play on the right as much, I'm not used to. Like I like to do it, but it's just much harder to poach on the right with my backhand than it is with the forehand. Um, so we did that, even though we didn't win. Then won a big run in the fourth, won that one, and in the fifth, I think they kind of realized that Dekel stopped driving and started dropping a lot, and started dropping through to Tyson. So that's why in the fifth we switched to when we're returning. I play on the left. That way, if they try and drop in, we're just going to punish it. But when we were serving, I still play on the right. That Tyson can. He was playing that matchup really well. That way, we can still get that matchup cross with Tyson a bunch, but still prevent them from getting in when we're returning by putting me on the left, so I can be more aggressive on the fourths.
Interesting, because I was wondering about that. You go ahead, Spencer.
No, you go. I'll go in a minute.
That's what I was wondering about because I noticed you guys were doing. You were on the right during offense, and then you were on the left during defense. I guess serving and returning. And I was wondering why that was. So it was because he was continuously going cross court, so you felt like that was a better matchup with having um, Tyson over there when you guys were serving, and then really good fourths. So you felt like it was a better matchup to have you on the left and then get that good fourth.
Yeah, I just hit my fourths really hard, right?
Right.
So, and from the left, I can just get my paddle on more fourths, right? Even though Tyson hits them very well, I feel like I hit them really, really, like really, really well. So just putting me on the left in that situation allows me to hit way more fourths, which stops
Cool.
them from getting in. So we do that just to not even let them get up to the net and play it out. But then when we're serving, Tyson is just playing very well on the left, and I was playing well on the right. So when we get up to the net, that's the matchup we wanted at the net.
Yeah, that's interesting because you don't see that a lot, and especially because you guys went in with you on the left the entire tournament, to my knowledge. But it looked like you were on the
Mm-hmm.
left the entire tournament, and then you guys were like, "Okay, let's change it up," and you guys just excelled when you guys kept changing it up too. And I was like, "Wow, I can't believe this is working," because it's like hard to find a groove, especially when you're constantly switching sides or you switch sides after having played the entire tournament on one side type of thing. But you guys played just seamlessly and really figured it out well. So that's interesting with the fourths. That absolutely makes sense.
Yeah, I think we're both flexible in the way we can play, but I think I'm better on the left. Vastly prefer the left, even though I am good on the right. But I just like to, if there's a specific reason, right? So we're making these switches for specific reasons. If there's a game matchup reason that we want to change, we should do that, right? Because we're here to win, not play aside.
Absolutely. Hey, when you're playing on the left, can you walk us through? I mean, you probably don't have a paddle with you. Some of your, whether Deckel drove it or dropped it, how are you getting so much power on your backhand to keep that deep and low, but without hitting it out? I mean, I hit that
I
shot?
think I
Sure,
hit a lot of
one
topspin.
out of five. What's that?
I hit a lot of topspin, as much topspin as I can.
Yeah, and what are you doing to get that much topspin on there while also having some power behind it?
Well, I mean, I think I'm swinging really hard. You got to make sure you get the paddle head down. So I'm getting paddle head down way below the ball, and then just looking to roll it a lot.
And are you using a lot of wrist or not too much?
Yeah, one depending on where I'm hitting it and depending on how much topspin, right? So the more topspin I want, the more wrist I'm going to add to it. Right, this way, right? Not this way. So the more I want, the more I'm going to add to it. The less I
Right.
want, the less I'm going to use. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I need to practice it more. Just rep after rep after rep.
I also do change my grip a lot. So
Do you?
especially on fourths when I have times. Yeah, so I change my grip a lot. I can hit rolls from most grips, right? So I play Eastern standard, but I'll switch to continental or backhand grip depending on the situation. And I can hit a roll from obviously from a backhand grip. That's the easiest one. Hit a roll from continental. I can hit a roll from like Eastern or like leaning towards semi-Western as well. But Western, yeah, probably not. But like I can still hit rolls even from like Eastern semi-Western as well, just not as hard or as much topspin as from like a continental or backhand grip.
Right. That's interesting. That'd be weird hitting a backhand roll from a semi-Western, I know. But
Yeah, it's hard.
for those of you listening, so he's saying his main grip is Eastern, which is, I don't know how to describe it unless you guys were watching, but I kind of need a paddle too. But it kind of comes flat up the face, I guess you could say, of the paddle. So it gets your paddle face nice and flat towards the forehand side. But he'll switch it to continental, which is like handshake grip, and hit his backhands, and then sometimes go further past continental, put his paddle face even further down when hitting backhands. And would you say you're hitting most fourths? Oh, you can show us here. You have a paddle. Would you say you're hitting most fourths with an Eastern backhand or with continental?
It depends on the fourth. I wouldn't
Okay.
say that I hit most fourth anyway. I just change a lot depending on the ball that they're giving me in the situation, what I'm anticipating, what they hit, and what they hit based on what I'm anticipating. So I'll switch, right? So like normally I play, let's see how I do this way, right? Normally I'll play like more Eastern here. Okay. But then so I can still hit a roll,
Show us the butt
backhand roll
of
from
the
here.
show us the butt of the grip while you're holding that.
This. How do
Yeah.
you want me to hold?
Cool.
I also hold very far off the edge of the paddle. I think that's
Yeah,
part of
me
the
too.
reason why I can also reach very far is like I literally will hold like this, like the pinky's not even on.
Yeah, you're way up there. Or way down there.
Yeah. So there, like even if I'll go semi-Western sometimes to attack the forehand, and if it comes to my backhand, I can still hit a roll from here, even though it's not as good. But on the very, very hard ones that I have time, I'll switch from here to like an Eastern backhand
All the
grip
way
so that
up.
I can hit it harder and with more topspin.
And I think that's the really hard ones that we're seeing on those fourths. That's what it looks like you're
Oops.
doing. You're holding that grip, but like you
I
said,
made
you're
myself
probably
blurry by going too far away.
Yeah, it's super blurry. I don't know why I didn't focus.
There we go.
We're
There we
killing
go.
it today.
Yeah. So if I'm going to hit it really, really hard, I'm going to go towards to the Eastern backhand grip so that I can, right, it closes the face for the backhand so that I can hit it harder and with more topspin.
Yeah, it's interesting changing grips because you don't think that you have time in pickleball, but it is something that you need to practice because your Eastern backhand is going to be better than holding an Eastern forehand for a backhand if you have
Well,
the
it
time.
has like more theoretical maximum on the peak, right? So that's kind of what I tell people is like I hit it as hard as I can sometimes. So if I'm trying to hit it as hard as I can, I need to like min max my grip so that I can hit it harder. if you're only hitting it at like 80%, then you may not to make that change.
Right.
Or whatever you're hitting it at.
Switching topics
So
here, Brandon.
yeah.
Sorry, I'm gonna let you do it all. Walk us through the end of this match. So we were standing behind you, on that upper section. There were no seats. PPA did not have enough seats in this place. Like everybody wanted to be there. And we were all standing on top of each other. And
It was
anyway,
worth
Austin
it.
had a fantastic view, ended up videoing the point where you guys won the crazy point and Tyson threw his paddle in the air. Um, and that video, I think, has like well over 1 million views now on Instagram. I mean, just an insane point to be there in person. But you guys are down, if I remember correctly, I think 7-10 before you start making your comeback in the end there. Do you remember that being the score? Was it 7-10 when you guys made that big run towards the
So
end?
I remember they had 10-7-2, and Colin hit a drop to me, and like they had match point and hit like a medium drop. My backhand definitely came to poach, and I rolled across court, and then we made a run from there.
Yeah. And prior to that, when he had match point on his paddle, you had popped it
Yeah, that
up.
was after.
Okay. So that was just
So
after
this is the
that.
first match point, and the
That was another
second match
side
point
out.
was the one that I left up high.
I think there was
We
I think
thought
there
it
was
over.
yeah. I think there was
They had
3
two. I think they had
3
two.
side outs? 2 side outs. Okay.
Well, they had 2 match points. I don't know how many side outs there were.
I think there was 3. I think there was 3, and it was just like killing me. I was about to throw up over there. And it was really riveting. Every time that you guys got it back, I was like, let's go, baby. They can do this. It's like Cinderella story. Let's make it happen. But yeah, I videoed that point. And I can't remember even what game that was in. All I know is I was holding my breath the whole time, and I'm like, I don't know how these guys are still playing this point right now. But it was so cool because you guys just had the most incredible pickups the whole time. What were you saying?
Yeah, it's a little bit embarrassing to me that I see posters saying like this is the best point they've ever seen, and it's the best point ever that involves me hitting 2 shitty dinks. So I don't love that. Okay.
They did pop up. Yeah.
Yeah, well, at least 1 or 2 pop up, and one that I
Yeah.
gave Colin an ATP, right? So I set Tyson up to hit the clean winner, right?
Right.
Exactly.
Really baited Colin into that. No, but I think also I bailed Tyson out of a drive. I had a really good reset to start the point.
Yep.
And Colin also hit a speed up that I hit a good counter to Deckel, but Deckel still got it back. So apart from my multiple bad dinks, at least I had a couple of good shots in there as well.
Yeah, I have the video recorded and I can't stop watching it. It's the best point ever because it's like
Tyson threw his paddle like 30 feet in the air, and I was like, bro, it's not over. That paddle better not be broken because we still have to win. What are you doing?
And then he comes and pushes you out of the way. I was like, let's go.
Yeah,
he was just
like
amped.
the 30th time, but I like that. That hypes me up. I'm cool with it.
Oh yeah, that's fun. It's really fun. But yeah, you had your dink popped up. Tyson gives up on the point. I've watched it so many times. He's done with the point. He gives up on it, and it hits his paddle, and then is a perfect reset over to Deckel. I'm like, oh crap, it's still going. Couple more dinks.
That was a good reset, like off the hole of the paddle or the handle or something.
Yeah.
But
he had a bunch of really good resets.
Yeah, he did. And then you went behind him. I was like, these guys are in sync. I can't believe Tyson let that ball go. He let one go, and you came behind him with your backhand, got back into the point, popped it up again, had a little bit of a thing going on again. But then you had your two-hander, and like you were saying, you hit it to Deckel, and then Deckel hit a perfect reset back off of just a total power shot. But yeah, the whole point was just legit. It was really awesome. You guys played really well together.
Yeah, greatest men's match ever. I don't care what anyone else says.
Yeah,
I'm saying that. It just was. It was an absolute blast. I was like hoarse after that, and I usually don't cheer like that. But yeah, I was definitely hoarse. My wife was like tapping me, telling me to be quiet. So yeah, that was a blast to watch.
There was a couple of times, the reason that I was confused I thought you guys were just changing it up and not doing like an offensive stack and a defensive stack. I thought you guys were changing it up because you guys kept switching sides midpoint. All of a sudden, Tyson was on the right hitting a Burt. And I was like, holy cow, just everywhere.
Yeah, we're working. Both looking to get aggressive off each other's drops. Yeah. And that's something that I want him to do. Like if I hit a really good third, I told him like the first point of the first day, I think like he went to look for a poach, and I said, wherever you go, I'll get wherever you're not. So, and we did end up switching a lot during the points because he was looking to get aggressive off my really good thirds.
Yeah, and you did. You guys did really well together.
Brendon, we want to do a quick quiz for you, but before that, can you talk to us? We like to ask everybody, but you specifically, I think it'll be very helpful. How do you prepare mentally for a match, especially like the one in Red Rock, where you guys come into something that 2 weeks before you didn't know you'd be playing together, never warmed up together, or practiced together? What do you do mentally to be focused in those?
Uh, I don't know about mentally, but I kind of have an entire routine that I do before I start where I like to get there like an hour and a half early, like an hour and a half before the start of the match. And usually I'll go to whatever trainer is there to get stretched out and warmed up from with the trainer. Then I have kind of my own dynamic warm up routine that I do. So different types of skips and just lunges and just things like to warm up my body for a little bit after the stretching from the trainer. And then I try to get like a good 45 minutes of hitting in from there. So just like to hit every single shot and kind of like a hitting routine I like to do. Then a couple points. And I feel like the points, it's like kind of like that's I guess my mental warm up is like the physical warm up into the actual hitting warm up into playing some points like with hopefully full focus. That way I'm ready to play. But I
Gotcha.
guess I don't do anything specifically mentally. I kind of just do my normal warm up routine and hopefully that gets me focused.
Yeah. How about during the matches? Do you feel like you have to like re-trigger yourself to focus, or do you feel like you're kind of zoned in most of the time?
I don't know. It's hard. I don't know exactly what I do focus. I kind of tried to have like a little routine that I do before I serve. So I do a couple of things before I serve to try and focus. I think something that I do is a lot of times I turn around. So every time after most points, I turn around. So as I'm turning around, walking back, I kind of think about the point. And if there's anything that I need to change during the point, whether I won or I lost or something that I need to do, like that was a good point construction, we need to keep doing that, or that was a bad point construction, like whether we won or we lost, like did I like the point construction and how it went. I think about that as we go back, but then before the next ball, I just try to worry about the next point.
Very cool. Should we do a quiz for him?
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, another question for you, Brendon, while I'm looking for this is since PPA Red Rock, have you received any you don't have to give us details or anything, but any sponsorship offers? Has anyone been contacting you?
Yeah, I'm talking to some people, trying to figure it out.
Who are you talking to? Spill it.
We're just talking to some people trying to figure it out. I don't know how it works. It takes longer than I wish it would, right? But just trying to figure out the details.
You were playing with Yola.
Very cool.
I mean, you do play with the Yola paddle, so there's probably a good chance that it is them, but it could be anybody. Favorite paddle currently.
I like that paddle a lot.
Yeah, I love the gel when I shank it, how it still goes in. Something about it's just so nice, so soft. Really like it.
No, that stresses me out, actually. That's what I would say is when I miss-hit a ball or I shank it or I hit it near the edge of the frame and it goes where I'm aiming, I think, oh my God, where was that going to go if I hit it in the middle? That's bad. I freaked out. I'm like, this is not a good sign, okay, that I miss-hit the ball and it went exactly where I'm aiming. I was like, I got figuring out because that's like the worst sign I can think of.
Yeah, that's a good
look
point.
at it that way.
I haven't thought about it that way.
All right, so Pickleball Quiz with Brendon Long. All right, so this is the first question, actually. This is the one I warned you about. What was your final game score when you won gold with Bobby Oshiro at APP Daytona? Final game score. What's your guess?
I should have looked it up on my other monitor while we were talking before. That would have been a smart move by me. I'm going to say 15-6.
You got it, man. You nailed it.
Oh, nice.
15-6. All right. Who is Tyler Lung's paddle sponsor?
Vulcan. Is he
2 in a row, man?
Is he use a V560? Is that what he uses? He uses like the elongated one.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, which one's the
960.
green one, Oz?
It's the V960, I think, but yeah, close enough.
960. Okay.
Uh-huh.
All right, now what was your seed in men's dubs at PPA Red Rock?
6.
Nailed it 3 in a row. Okay, this one's a tough one. If you get this one, you're like, well, you're Brendon all day long. That's who you are. So here we go.
Let's hear it.
What was the match score when you and Vivian beat CJ and Etta at PPA Red Rock?
So both of them?
You won in 2 games.
We won in 2.
So
yeah.
you remembered that part.
Yeah, we won in 2. Yeah, I don't remember. Let me think. 4 and 8.
It was 8-5,
Ah,
but not too bad.
Close.
I mean, technically just went off there. Another question. So at the upcoming U.S. Open, are you going to play in the U.S. Open then?
yeah.
Okay, because I think PPA players are excluded, is what I heard. They're not allowed
Yeah.
to play it. But yeah, we'll be watching. Who are you playing with?
So I'm playing with Millen Rain. Same. I played with her in Mesa.
Yeah.
She's really good. Her drops are like on point. And then CJ Klinger.
Cool. Love
you know him.
CJ.
17-year-old
He
kid.
killed it
Spends
in
half
this
the time here,
last
half the
one
time
too.
Ohio. He's good. Yeah, he's really good. He's got all the shots. I like it. I think we match really well together. I'm a big fan of having 2 dangerous players, right? I feel like a
Right.
lot of times like people kind of think that the meta is like 1 alpha, 1 beta, 1 guy who's going to attack, 1 guy who's going to play defense. But I'm like, why don't you just have 2 guys that are going to attack? Works for me.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you both do. That'll be cool. Do you know who's playing left and who's playing right?
Well, he's lefty, so
he's
Oh,
playing
that's right.
yeah.
He is lefty. That's why he was dominating on that side in mix.
Mhm.
All right. So, question for the U.S. Open: if someone contests a paddle, maybe you've heard this, and the paddle comes back within legal specifications, the player contesting the paddle will be subject to. Did you hear this recently?
It said a 1-year ban.
Yeah. A
And
big
now
time
my
joke.
question is my reading of, is it a 1-year ban from the U.S. Open? Because the next one doesn't happen for another year, right? So
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
you
technically,
get banned from all U.S. Opens for 1 year, and then the next year you're fine because it was a year, right?
There's only one.
and again,
You're good to go.
yeah, I
That's
didn't think about that.
I don't think that's what they meant, but I thought that would be funny if that's how they
Yeah.
interpreted it.
Yeah, you might as well bring it up if that happened. All right, what's Tyson McGuffin's age?
34.
33, but he does turn 34 this year.
I just knew he was a little bit older than me.
Okay, so you're 33?
Yeah.
What's your month?
January.
Your birth? Oh, okay. Yeah, so just a little bit. All right, which pickleball referee is known for yelling loudly when a foot fault occurs?
I feel like there's a few.
There are a few. PPA.
Mike, doesn't that?
Yeah, he's a loud one, but I'm thinking about someone else specifically.
Does Don Stanley yell loud?
Yes, I would
Okay.
say Don. That's the one we can always hear on the mic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like scaring people. If I was playing when he called that, I'd be like, dude, you threw me off completely. I can't even play the next point. Anyway, there's a few more here. How tall is Vivian David? You played with her. What's your guess?
Like this tall.
Accurate.
5'4". 5.
Dude, you're on fire.
5'4".
5'4".
It's a 5'4".
Did Austin send you these answers before we even started
No,
recording?
because exactly. And I threw one on purpose by just a little bit.
Yep.
All
Everything
right,
went
where
to
was
plan.
the first ever MLP tournament? What city?
Austin?
Technically, yeah, Dripping Springs, Texas, which
Yeah.
I think is like a part
Dreamland.
of Austin. I don't know.
Yeah, Dreamland.
Never
Yeah.
been. Yeah, there's
It's like a little bit west.
Who was the last overall pick in the MLP Premier Draft? Premier.
Was it Kyle?
Nope.
Then was he second to last?
I don't remember.
I
I'll
have
have
no
to look it up.
I feel like
This
he may have
person is
been.
young. This person is young.
Oh, Hayden.
Yeah, it was Hayden
That makes
Christopher.
sense. I should have thought about it too, because if I knew who the first pick was, then I would have known who the last pick was.
And then how tall is Dekel Bar?
6'4", 6'3".
6'3", but very close.
Oh,
How
are we
how
counting
tall are
shoes
you?
or no shoes?
Yeah, that's
That's a
true.
good
With
point.
shoes on, he might be exact. Two
Yeah.
more questions here. What country is Pablo Tellez originally from?
Colombia.
Nailed it. And you've played with him before too.
Well, he lives
And
in
I know you
Naples.
practiced with him.
He lives like 20 minutes away from me. He's gonna yell at me if I don't get that one right.
All right, last one. According to USAP rules, if an item a player is wearing falls on the court during play, the ball remains in play unless there's one situation where it does not remain in play.
Oh, wait, can you repeat that? Well, yeah, repeat it for
Yeah,
me.
yeah. So according to USAP rules, if an item a player is wearing falls on the court
Hmm.
during play, the ball remains in play unless
Oh, unless you hit a volley and it falls in the kitchen.
unless that item falls in the kitchen is the answer.
Oh,
Yeah.
nailed
So
it.
I wasn't aware of that. I thought it was a fault. I looked this up last night. I thought it was a fault if somebody's like if your hat fell off during the game during the play that
Hmm.
it would be like a replay of the point or something like that, but they're saying it's not a fault or anything as long
It
as
just becomes
whatever that
part of the
item is
court. Yeah.
doesn't fall in the kitchen.
Is
So,
it a fault if it falls in the kitchen, even if you didn't hit a volley?
according to that basic rule there, maybe, but we'll
Okay.
probably
That's
have
a
to
good
look that
I'm
point.
up
not sure that
after.
it is. I'm not sure that
Yeah.
it is. I want to be
Yeah.
honest.
I
That'd be
was hoping
interesting.
you wouldn't
Try
do
it.
as well with this quiz, but you did incredibly well. So,
Try it in the
so
next one,
what's
Brendan. We want to see you drop something in the kitchen, drop your hat, and then we'll figure it out. And don't hit the ball. And
And see
let's
what
see
the
what the
referees
referee
say.
does. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
figure it out together.
uh,
No, it did
see if
happen
they
though.
know?
It didn't go in the kitchen, but yeah, it happened with Jardim was playing against Anna Lee in not this last MLP, but the one before. And Anna Lee's glasses and hat flew off, but they continued playing the point, and then Anna Lee won the
Yeah.
point. Jorginho was not
Well,
happy.
I think Rafa has a point where he hit a ball and his lead tape flew off and fell in the kitchen, and he lost the point because of it.
Oh, his lead tape flew off.
The lead tape flew
People,
off the end of the paddle because he never
oh
covers it or
wow.
anything, and I don't know, it's always dangling on the end of the paddle. I don't understand how he plays like that. There's no way I could play like that.
This
Uh,
last this
no, no,
last
no, a while
tournament.
ago, a while ago.
Okay. Okay, it was a while ago. This was at an MLP
Yeah, it
or
was a
no?
while ago. No, 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 before that.
It was just random. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
Travis.
Riley had
Oh,
a situation like that where his paddle broke, where he was at the kitchen, he didn't get called on it, and his paddle, the face of his
Oh
paddle fell
yeah.
into the kitchen after the point. They're trying to say it was a dead point, but yeah, that one was another situation.
I mean, I guess it depends on I don't know how you say what is the momentum from a broken paddle, right?
Right.
Yeah,
That's a
and I
tough
think that's
call
what
for
he was
me.
arguing too. All right, Brendan, where can people find you on social media?
On Instagram at Brendon H Long, and that's Brendon.
Yes, it is Brendan, not Brandon, everybody. Brendon.
I
Check him
get
out on
some people
Instagram.
tagging it wrong on Instagram, or there's probably other people out there who have a big follower but who have no idea what's going on. For all the people who can't spell my name right,
Yeah. And what's next for you? What tournaments are coming up for you? I know you said US Open. What else?
U.S. Open, then APP Sacramento, then I know there's Cincinnati, then there is the PPA Atlanta, APP New York, and let me see here. I got a schedule right here.
So a good mix of tournaments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Playing with
Then
some of the
there's the
same
other
people?
MLP again.
Some of the same people you're playing with, or is it a decent mix?
So CJ here, Johnson Cola again. Like we had a really good run. He's really good. I'll play with Stefan Avern. He's really good right side player.
Yeah.
A good lefty. Again, a good mix here where I like both of him and I have really good thirds, so we can both poach off our own balls. I like when he takes the thirds and I go up, because I always tell him, you hit the good shot and I'll just take all the glory.
You set me
Because
up.
whoever puts it away
Yeah.
always gets all the glory. It doesn't matter how good the third shot was, whoever gets the put away gets the credit for the glory every single time. So I'm like, you hit the thirds, I hit the easy overhead, and then everybody thinks I'm really good. That's a game plan.
It's a good
You
game
are
plan.
really good, for the record.
You don't have to tell
Even though I
us.
didn't do anything, you did all the hard work.
You don't have to tell us, but I know that you said sponsors have reached out to you. Don't tell us which ones, obviously, but with PPA and APP, do you plan to go with a specific one, or do you want to keep playing different APPs and different PPAs?
I don't know how it's going to work out. I just want to play pickleball, right? So I'm just playing both right now, and
Okay.
especially it's just really hard with partners, right? So a lot of partners I play with do APP, some of the partners I play with do PPA.
Right.
So just with that, I'm just, some things may change. I have no idea, but I'm just looking to play pickleball.
Any future tournaments with Tyson again?
Not right now, because again, I think especially with the way the PPA worked at the beginning of the year, a lot of people just like booked for a while,
Yeah.
because they didn't want to be the guy, like, the guy left without a chair, right? With no partner for the next 6 months, but especially with the way everything works. So a lot of people just booked right out. So we don't right now, but I hope we do. I kind of have a thing where where if you win with someone, you have to run it back, right? Even if it was a bad scrappy win or whatever it was, if you won with someone, I feel like you have to run it back again just to see if it works.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, we hope you do. We're looking forward to that. So
And
hopefully
again,
that comes
what
up.
I've said all the times, he's a really good partner. Like, not just a player wise, but very good, like, supportive partner.
Yeah, and we were listening to you guys talking to each other the whole time. Very supportive
Yeah.
of each other. Last
All
question.
positive. Sorry,
Last
go ahead,
question is, everybody was calling you B. Is that a nickname that you've always had, or did it just come about?
No, sometimes people call me that. I think people have called me that in the past, and then started in pickleball. And I think it started more when uh, Anna called me that.
We
But
need
there
to
were
change
people
your
in pickleball already who had called me that.
we need to change your nickname to Hammer from now on. You shall be known as Hammer.
or Thor, one of the two.
Yeah, one of the two.
All right. Well,
Thank you so
thanks
much.
everybody for listening. Brendon, thanks a lot for coming on. We
Yeah.
appreciate your time, man. We look forward to watching what happens in the future. It was really exciting watching you play. And again, thank you. We appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me on.